expectation is for, Khalid to always play like that. So, a lot of people may see that as special, but I think he's able to do those things if we give him the opportunity to do them. But like I said, I put my arms around him, and I told him I love him as he cried, and I told him I appreciated his effort, and I was very proud of the way he played. But he plays like that every week, so it was no surprise to me. Just his numbers were a little bit higher because he got some more opportunities, and we had a plan together that gave him the capability to put up those numbers. But that's the type of player he is, and but that's what you tell him. You tell him you love him, and you tell him that you're proud of him and you appreciate his effort, and you look him straight in his eyes and let him know that. And that's all I could do. I don't know about other coaches, but I know for me now, I make sure I let guys like him and just guys on my team, period. I let my players know how much I really love them for the effort that they give, not only on Saturday but through the week on the practice field as well as in the classroom. And because a young man needs to know, we as coaches, that we love them. Especially young African American males. They need to hear those words from people in higher positions. To let them know, hey, yes, we push you. Yes, we yell at you. Yes, we use some choice words, but through it all, we do love you for the person you are, not just because of the football player, but because of the individual that you are and the commitment that you've made to not only the program, but also to me as a coach. So those words are frequent in our program, and they were frequent on Saturday with him and many other guys, and letting them know that, like I said, I appreciate their effort and everything that they've given this program.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Do you have any more questions for Brian Jenkins at Alabama State? Coach, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
It's Brian Jenkins, head coach at Alabama State. His team will play host to Jackson State at 2 p.m. this Saturday.
Conference recording started.
Next up on the call, it's Fred McNair from Alcorn State University. His team fell to Southern, and now they'll play at Prairie View at 1 p.m. on ESPN3. Let's welcome along Coach McNair. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, man. How you doing?
Good, Coach. Thanks. Let's recap your match with Southern this past Saturday and preview another tough battle that's on the way on the road at Prairie View.
Yeah, I think the Southern game, I think it was a great atmosphere for the fans. I mean, I think our guys played hard, and we're right there on the edge of it, just coming back and winning the ball game. But I can't give enough thanks to Odums, that job he's done with his team down there at Southern, man. They got a first A-class team, man, and they played hard, and our guys played extremely hard as well. Just to minimize mistakes and the turnovers we had there, keep us winning that ball game. But overall, I think the kids just played and fought hard throughout the whole process, and now we're back on the road going to Houston, man, to get ready for another good Prairie football team. Coach Simmons, he's gonna get those guys up and amped and ready to play. They came here last year and beat us here last year, so they'll be ready to play again. He's done a great job with their program up there at Prairie View, and I think he's continuing to do that. We just got to be ready to play when we go up there Saturday.
All right, the floor is now open for Fred McNair, head coach at Alcorn State. Coach, talk a little bit about the play from Lenore's Footman this past weekend. He's starting to come into his own a little bit. I know he's battled some injuries off and on throughout the season. It's been a difficult year, but talk about his play this past Saturday.
I think he did some phenomenal things, man. He did a great job in the passing game and also in the running game, And we like to eliminate some of his runs as much as we can, but, we have to do what it takes to win ball games now. So, we're in the pivotal point of the year where really have to just start stepping up and playing. And I think he's doing that. Done an outstanding job Saturday against Southern. I know he had 2 picks, but one was a reflection off a receiver there. He let the ball get too close up on him and then bounced off of him. And 1 pick, the corner just sit there. Old Danny Johnson, he just sit on it and just stole that one from him. But overall, he played well, man. And I think his career high 300-yard passing game. We threw the ball 44 times and did an outstanding job at it, man. And he's coming into his own world. He's understanding what he got to do to win ball games in the passing game, because everybody's going to sit on that run game, and now we're able to open up a little bit more now with him in the helm back there as the passer. So he's done a tremendous job throughout the whole year, barring his injuries.
Hey, Coach McNair, Luke Williams from the Black Collar Sports page.
All right, Luke.
These teams that are considered maybe the cream of the crop in the conference, Prairie View, Grambling, and yourself, what's the difference in you and your team not being able to get over the hump this year?
I think the biggest thing is just been that injury bug hit us early, man, and we've been fighting that thing for a while, man, and we're still fighting it. We still got people hurt and got guys out for the season, so we lose some key players, in the components, where your defensive line and your secondary, it kind of hurts a little bit, and then, of course, you've been injured in the backfield and all that kind of stuff with the running back situation, man. It's kind of tough, that thing hit us, we trying to get over that injury thing, man, and that, playing some young guys in the secondary also well, man. So that's been the biggest disappointing thing, and that coach have to go through this time of year, man, and especially when it's in the hunt for the East Conference, and we fighting that battle, man, and hopefully we get over that hump, man, and get this thing back rolling where it needs to be, man, because we got a good team coming up on Saturday against Prairie View, man. They're gonna be ready to play, and I know Coach Simmons has done a great job with those guys getting them ready to play. So, it's going to be about how fast we get these guys back and get them ready to play.
You talked about the East Division race. What do you say to your team at this point? I think you're 3-3 in the conference. You're tied with Jackson State. I guess you're a half game ahead of A&M, and Alabama State's right there behind them. What do you say to your team about where the race stands right now? Still, I would assume, it's in your own hands. Your destiny is really in your own hands.
I mean, that's basically bottom line. You got a 3-game season right now, so that's what you're telling me. You can't afford to really drop none of them because everybody else is so close to you now. So it's a 3-game season for us right now. So the outcome of that going to really depends on Alcorn. So it's up to us to get these 3 games in and try to win them all. We can't leave anything out there for anybody else. It's destiny is in your own hands right now. So we just got to get these guys ready to play these last 3 ball games, and I got to tell them, everything else take care of itself. You got 3 ball game season now.
You talked about the injuries. What state are you in now? You still fighting that, or
we forever fighting, man, and just still banged up, and we had two guys have surgery last week, and guys just really give us depth, for what we need to do. But we still trying to get these guys recovered. Not really healthy, but. And you want to go into these last 3 ball games as healthy as you can, because you got to win them all. So we still fighting it and we still battling right now.
Is your opinion, Coach? Have you been hit more the injury bug this year than the past 2 years? Have you been just very fortunate the past 2 years not to be hit with so many? Is that the idea?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too, man. And in the past we've had injuries. I think some of the injuries that we got now is from old injuries that we had in the past, So, and the biggest thing is, injured players get other players injured. So, you know, because you got to do more reps and you're out there longer and all that kind of stuff. So that's the biggest thing. So I think in the past we didn't have as many injuries as we had this year, but you know, those injuries that are occurring now is some of the old injuries that happened in the past. So we're just fighting that, man, and we're in a situation now where we got to get these guys back on the field right now and try to make a run for this thing.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thanks, man.
Do you have any more questions for Fred McNair? Thanks for joining us, Coach. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
That's Fred McNair, head coach at Alcorn State, and his team will play at Prairie View 1 p.m. this Saturday, and the game can be seen on ESPN3.
Conference recording started.
Next up, we head to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and UAPB was defeated by Grambling, and they will turn around and host Mississippi Valley State at 2:30 this coming Saturday. Let's welcome along Monte Coleman. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us. If you could recap your game with Grambling and now preview your host rival this coming weekend with Mississippi Valley State.
Well, not a very good football game for us this past weekend. Grambling made all the plays. They definitely scored. For us, it wasn't a good football game. Probably the worst football game I've seen us play in several years, collectively as a team. We are getting ready for Mississippi Valley this weekend. They're coming here. We're glad to get off the road for a few weeks, and we've got them at 2:30.
All right, the floor is now open for James Spady, head coach at Arkansas. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Monte Coleman, head coach at Arkansas Pine Bluff. I'm sorry, Coach.
You calling me Coach Spady?
My bad. It's been a long one for us both, apparently.
I understand.
The floor is now open for Monte Coleman. Coach, let's talk a little bit about Willie Young, breaking, I think it was Ryan Weber's receiving record. I guess it's no surprise the career he's had, and actually missed a year, believe it or not. Your thoughts on him being able to break that school record despite only playing 3 years, really?
Well, Willie's a very explosive receiver. I think a lot of the guys, defensive backs, coaches around the league respect Willie and his abilities. He has the ability to attack the football. We all know his great speed. He's shown us that in week in and week out. He is one of our go-to targets, one of the guys that we've got to get the ball in his hands because normally when you do, you get some good results. The guy record that he broke, Raymond Weber, excuse me, great receiver for us back a few years ago. So he's in company definitely with a good receiver in Raymond Weber. And Willie, you know, I think the world of him. He's done a good job. He's excuse me. He's bounced back from missing 1 year from academics, and he's taking care of his business now in the classroom, and he's also taking care of his business also in the field.
Coach, what is the mindset now that you turn your attention to Mississippi Valley State?
Nothing's changed. We're still trying to win a football game. You know, we didn't anticipate being this far down in the hole, but nothing's changed. We have not given up. We have not raising the white flag or saying this is over for this season. We'll concentrate on next year. We've got 3 games left, game at a time. I know that Coach Comegy will have his football team coming in this weekend. high and ready to play. And that's what we're doing. We're getting ready to play our best game of the year and try to win a football game. So nothing's changed as far as preparation and the attitude on this end. We're going to continue to fight until this season's over, and we'll see how it ends.
Hey, Coach, Rob J. at Fox 40 in Jackson. What do you tell your team after a loss like that? What's the mood of the guys right now?
The mood, I met with them yesterday. We went out, we practiced a little yesterday. And the mood is fine. Of course, they were embarrassed, just like we all were. Coaches, players was definitely embarrassed. They realized they didn't play well. And the thing you tell them is, hey, sometimes you have a bad game like that, but life goes on. You got to continue to play hard. You got to continue to practice hard, and you got to examine yourself to see if you're doing those things, if you're putting the time in practice, in the weight room, in the classroom, and all of the above to make sure that you can compete on Saturday. And I just told them to examine themselves. Don't look around the room to see what somebody else did or didn't do. Look at themselves and see how they can be put their one of the 11 into effect and see how we can the outcome can come. But by no means are we going to quit, and that's what we're telling them right now. That it's not time to quit. We still got football left.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coach, you've seen a lot of good quarterbacks in this league. As a matter of fact, you've coached one previously with Benjamin Anderson. How well is Devontae Kincaid, or how good of a quarterback is he for those that haven't seen him play?
He's got a strong arm. I watched him in warm-ups. He throws the ball very consistently. He threw the ball in the game very consistently. He's a smart quarterback as far as carrying out the game plan that the coaching staff has for him. He can run it. He's a SWAC quarterback, and I mean that in a positive way. He has the ability to pull the ball down and run with it, which he did. He also has he can make every throw. The very first play, he hits his receiver on the post route, and I mean it's right on the money. And he did that consistently through the game. So, if not the best, he's one of the best quarterbacks that we have in the league right now, and he's very, very talented.
Hey, Coach. This is Nick, and I apologize. I got on here a little bit late. I'm curious. It's tough to find the sunny disposition in something like this. But if you could talk about positives, you talked about attitude and making sure that you guys are focused on that. But what are some of the positives that you guys were able to take out of that game?
Not a whole lot, Nick. Not a whole lot at all. But some of the things, Willie Young, he caught some balls. He dropped a couple of balls here and there, but he caught some balls. The guys continue to play hard. Even though we got beat extremely bad on Saturday, they didn't just lay down and quit like a team could do. A lot of guys, we got several guys that's banged up right now that's not playing for us, and other guys got an opportunity to play. And they played hard. So, the good thing about it, we live to fight another day. We didn't have any injuries coming out. That's a positive. So we live to fight another day.
Looking through the numbers too, it's like I said, it's kind of trying to find the sun on a cloudy day, but it looked like in terms of penalties and sacks, things that you guys had focused on, you saw some improvement there.
Yes, we did. Yeah, because we've been plagued with like 14 penalties, in previous games. In this game, it was cut down tremendously. We only had 6,
Yep.
which is still too many. But that is a bright spot. The number of sacks. They were able to get to the quarterback. They got 6 in this game, but there's been other games, and we've given up more sacks than that. Jamie Gillen, he's punting the ball well. He didn't get an opportunity to kick the ball this week, but he's still punting the ball well. I think he averaged almost 37 yards this week. So, there's some bright spots, some things we can build on. I mean, we got to keep in mind too. We probably played the best team right now in the SWAC, being Grambling.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
That's Arkansas Pine Bluff head coach Monte. Coleman and his team will host Mississippi Valley State for a 2:30 p.m. kickoff this coming Saturday.
Conference recording started.
Next up on the call, we had the Grambling State University, and of course, after defeating UAPB this past Saturday, Broderick Fobbs and the Grambling State Tigers will play at Alabama A&M for a 2 p.m. kick. Let's welcome along Coach Fobbs. Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us. Let's recap the victory over Arkansas Pine Bluff and preview your road trip to Alabama.
Well, it was a great weekend. Great weather. It's homecoming, so there was a lot of distractions out there for our football team. I was very, very pleased with the way that they handled it. I thought our kids were ready to play. They played extremely hard, and I thought that that they did all of the minor and small details that we always ask them to do. So our coaching staff did a great job of preparing our players, and I thought our players did a really good job of doing what they were asked to do. For the most part, I thought that the only glitch in the road for us was 11 penalties. We a lot of it had to do with excitement and being ready to perform and ready to play. So I'll take those type of penalties. So you don't want to have that many mistakes. But for the most part, I thought our kids played well. I thought our kids played flawless, so to speak. And I think it had a lot to do with our preparation, how we prepared during the week, But then I'm not naive either. I don't believe that, we saw the best Pine Bluff team. I think they're a much better football team than they played and showed on this past weekend. So I think that had a lot to do with, a somewhat lopsided, affair, so to speak. I don't think it was all us. I just think it was one of those situations where, they weren't as good on that particular day as they normally are.
All right, the floor is now open for Broderick Fobbs, head coach at Grambling State. Coach Chad Williams has had a really solid season for you guys. This is his first time being recognized as Player of the Week in the league, so I'm sure the timing is good for you as it relates to that. Talk about his play so far.
Well, Chad is just a dominant person, not just a football player, but anything he does that has a ball involved. I mean, he's very dominant at it. So he works extremely hard at it. He's very, very disciplined in his approach to the game. So, and then when you add talent along with, having the body, along with that work ethic and that heart, that's when you see and you get what you get. You know, I mean, I think the kid is as close to a pro as you can possibly be, because I just think he works at it, and that's what it takes in order to be successful.
Still taking questions for Broderick Fobbs, head coach at Grambling State. Coach, much improved defensively in recent years. What's changed for you guys on that side of the ball?
Well, I think it's the third year in the scheme, and you got kids that have been in the scheme for 2, sometimes 3 years that are really starting to understanding all of the the nicks and crannies of what we're doing defensively. I think that has a lot to do with it. To really play as well as they played this entire season, that speaks volumes of the coaching staff and the players. Our defensive coordinator, Coach Todd, and Coach Graves, and Coach Ware, and Coach Burrell, and Coach Rhodes, they do an exceptional job of getting our guys prepared, making sure their eyes are where they're supposed to be, and then ultimately getting your body where it should be. So, it's a process that has been going on for 3 years, and they work at it. Even in the off season, they work at it. They're constantly going through it and making sure that our guys are prepared.
Still have a few moments left in the segment with Broderick Fobbs, and we're taking your questions now. Coach, what do you know about this year's Alabama A&M team and I guess previous seasons going head-to-head with a James Spady-like coach team?
Well, of course, they're going to be a disciplined group. That's who Coach Spady is. He's a very disciplined coach. I've known Coach for a while, and the thing about them is they're a much better team, and they've continually gotten better every year. They're scoring a lot of points, and we have to make sure that that we respect and know who our opponent is. We talk about that every week.
Conference recording stopped.
We know what they do, and it's our job to play the game the right way and to give the game the respect that it deserves.
Do we have any more questions for Broderick Fobbs? Hey, Coach, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us this morning.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach. That's Broderick Fobbs, head coach at Grambling State University, and after defeating Arkansas Pine Bluff this past Saturday, they will head to Alabama and face Alabama A&M in Huntsville, and that kickoff is set for 2 p.m. this Saturday.
Conference recording started.
We'll transition now back to the state of Mississippi and talk things over with Tony Hughes, Jackson State University head coach. After falling to Prairie View A&M, they will play at Alabama State this Saturday, and the kickoff is set for 2 p.m. Let's welcome along Tony Hughes. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about your upcoming game at Alabama State and recap what happened last Saturday at Prairie View.
Well, of course, we're excited to have the opportunity to play again a quality opponent like Alabama State. I know Coach Jenkins is a fantastic coach, and he'll have his team prepared. And it's going to take a great effort by us to go over there and to play a good team. They'll be at home, and their backs are backed up against the wall. They just lost a tough in-state game to an in-state rivalry, and so I know they'll be chopping at the bits to get back out on the field and take out their frustration and aggression against us. Hard-fought game against Prairie View. We go in down 14-0 at halftime. They scored 14 points off turnovers. We lose the game 28-14. 3 of their touchdowns came with turnovers and 1 botched punt attempt that we gave them 21 points in the red zone. They went 3 for 3 in the red zone. Got down 21-0. Really hard to overcome against a good football team. Even though we had them at home, we fought back, had our chances to tie the score several different times, was not able to make the play to tie the score, and they pushed one, drove the ball down late, pushed it across, and made it 28-14. Our kids gave tremendous effort. They played hard, gave tremendous effort, and showed resilience being down 21-0. And of course, we're building character. We're building toughness and mental toughness and the things that we're doing here to rebuild the program. And so I was proud of the way the kids fought back being down 21-0. But the bottom line is Prairie View made the plays that they had to make to win the game. The bottom line was that we didn't make enough plays to win the game. We gave the game away. They didn't. They took advantage of our opportunities, and basically that's what happened.
All right, the floor is now open for Tony Hughes, head coach at Jackson State. Coach, we caught a brief glimpse of a video, I guess, from what appeared to be senior day for guys like Javante Jones, and there was a special presentation that was made, I guess, unexpected on his behalf. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Javante's mom suffers from a dreadful disease that attacks her body and spinal cord, and it attacks at different times, and she can go down for several months at a time. And he has felt the pressure all this year of dealing with that. She's been really, really sick, and we have senior day on the last home game, and which is next week after the Alabama State game. We play Alabama A&M, and we do a special presentation. But his family called and said they would not be able to attend because her illness would not allow, but if we could do it at this game in particular, she would be able to make it. We could do his presentation, and he wanted to surprise. They wanted to surprise him with the presentation. So we kept it a secret from him. We told him come out on the field. They had an award for him, and when he got out there, he saw his mother in the wheelchair on the 50-yard line, and it was a very emotional scene, not just for Javante, but for the Jackson State fans. And that's what we talk about building here is a family program where we really care and love each other. It didn't have anything to do with how many sacks he made or him being an All-American and All-SWAC player, but it had a moment in time that he'll remember forever, that his mom was able to see him play his senior year.
Outstanding, Coach. Thanks for sharing that with us. I was still taking questions for Tony Hughes, Jackson State head football coach. Your thoughts on an Alabama State team coached by Brian Jenkins, Coach?
Well, when you watch them on film, they are not as reflective as their record. And, and I say this in this league, they're good coaches. There's not a bad head football coach. I never met a bad coach a day in my life. I've been coaching 31 years, and Coach Jenkins, the success he's had as a head football coach speaks for itself. And his kids play hard. They believe in him. You can tell by the way they play. They play with great effort. They play with great intensity. They've lost some close games, some heartbreakers. It's tough. So you go week to week with every team that you play, you know that everybody's going to have ups and downs, and what you have to do is weather the storm and keep your kids playing hard. And in a salute to him, he's kept his kids playing hard. He's kept them believing in the process, and they lead the league in rushing. They have a great quarterback. They have a good running game. Defensively, they drive you crazy with their three-down scheme, and they are very solid in the kicking game. And so they'll be prepared to play. He'll have them prepared, and we'll have to go out and give our best effort and, keep it close. And at the end, it'll be a dogfight, and somebody has to make a play just like it's been every game for us this year.
Coach Ken Rashaw at HBCU Sports, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
With the looking at the rest of your schedule, and given the fact that Alcorn State lost as well on Saturday, given the rest of the schedule and where your team is right now in the division, talk about the importance of the remaining, I believe, 3 games on your schedule and the impact that may have on potentially winning the division.
Well, every team has a goal, and we talked yesterday about that at this particular point in the season, despite our ups and downs, how well we've played, how well we haven't played, we're still in contention to win the Eastern Division, which is amazing. The song says Amazing Grace, so evidently God has some grace on us because we hadn't played that well to deserve the grace, but God's grace is allowing us to stay in the race. And so we have to take advantage of opportunities that are given, and we have to play well. We have to execute at a high level, and it's a dogfight all the way through. It's going to be a dogfight each and every week to be able to stay on top or to keep pace. And as you said, everybody has a tough game. I think Alcorn's got to go to Prairie View this weekend. We've got to go to Alabama State this weekend. There's no gimmies. Nobody is giving games away. So from the mental preparation of our team, we just talked about right now with 3 games left in the season, we're 0-0, and it just depends on us. How well we play this week determines our future, determines the next game. And all we can do is play one game at a time. And I told them yesterday, we're just playing one game at a time, one day at a time. We had practice last night. We're off today. We got to have a great day academically today. We got to have great meetings tomorrow. We got to have a great practice tomorrow. We got to worry about Tuesday when Tuesday comes, Wednesday when Wednesday comes, Thursday when Thursday comes, Friday when Friday comes, Saturday when Saturday comes, and then we'll start all over again. And if we take care of our business and do what we're supposed to do, then we'll find success. If we don't, then we'll be stuck in the same old place, saying, what did we do wrong? Where did it go wrong? So, but we're excited to be right there where we are right now with an opportunity. Every team in America, beginning of the year, breaks it down 1, 2, 3 championship. And you know what? We can live that reality because we're still in the running.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Still have a few moments left in this segment with Tony Hughes. Still time to take your questions with Jackson State. Talk a little bit about the running back at Alabama State. He's passed some people along the list of all-time rushing leaders at Alabama State, and Khalid Thomas, number 7, Coach.
Well, they're like I said earlier, their run game is the number one run game in the conference, and they're not fancy. They run the zone read scheme, and as the old adage, they run it till the cows come home. And they believe in it, and their players believe in it. And anytime you have a great running back, such as he and Tillery at Southern, they just make it tough. I mean, our whole program is based on stopping the run. And if you can't stop the run, you're not going to win. If you can't run the ball, you're not going to win. And so he gives them a chance in every single game that they play. Once they establish the run, they're in the game, and you have a hard time stopping them, and once they get momentum. So it'll definitely be a challenge playing against a great running back like him, like we had a few weeks ago playing against Tillery.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
It's Tony Hughes, head coach at Jackson State, and his team will play at Alabama State for a 2 p.m. kickoff this Saturday.
Conference recording started.
Next up on the call, we talk things over with Mississippi Valley State head football coach Rick Comegy. The Delta Devils had a bye week this previous Saturday, and now they are set to square up off against Arkansas Pine Bluff at 2:30. Let's welcome along Coach Comegy. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good, Coach. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about the activity over your bye week, Coach, and now your preparations for Arkansas Pine Bluff as well.
Well, it was a well-needed bye week. We had an 8-game stretch, and, we needed it bad. And, we worked on some of the things that we felt that really was critical right now, and that was our kicking game, And, the last ball game out, we had 3 punts blocked and 2 went for touchdowns, and we dropped some on punts and different things of that nature, trying to get things happening, but it kind of just blew up in our face. And not just to say it was the kicking game completely that hurt us, but it was a major factor in that last ball game. And Grambling was an excellent football team and one that was hard to contain, but our kicking game really blew up in our face. So we worked on the kicking game throughout the week and gave the guys some rest time. We believe rest is a weapon, and I believe our kids will come back ready to go, have some bounce, and ready to play some football. I know that this week coming up, Monte does a great job with his football team, and that score against Grambling is not indicative of the type of team Monte puts out there on the field. I know that for a fact, so that's not fooling anyone. So we're going to have to go down there and play a football game and fight for our lives in order to come out with a win. And we're looking for our first win, of course, and we're hoping that it comes, on the way back from Pine Bluff.
All right, the floor is now open for Rick Comegy, head coach at Mississippi Valley State. Coach, you've seen Willie Young a time or two for Arkansas Pine Bluff, the wide receiver, actually with 2 different teams, and he just broke the school record. Talk about his play there, Coach.
He's outstanding. This young man is an outstanding player. You got to pay attention to him because he can get in the end zone in a hurry, and all the accolades that he got, it wasn't just given. That young man has earned it. And so, I take my hat off to him with a lot of great respect and know that he's a guy that you have to, contain in order to come out with a win against those guys because he's a extraordinary athlete. And I could see this guy moving on after his college career doing something for somebody else.
Coach, obviously a victory is the main thing. What else are you looking to get out of Saturday's action with Pine Bluff?
Well, basically, I want to execute. I want to run the football better than what we've run. We haven't run the football at all well, and I want to execute the things that we put in. It's always one here, one there, a miss here. On every single like on every play, somebody's taking their turn, and I would like to see us play that a solid football. And I think that's what we got to have in order to be successful. We just haven't executed a game yet, except for one game where we had some execution. And we got to be able to execute on third downs and be able to turn third downs into first downs and things of that nature and stop third downs from becoming touchdowns. This is but it's been haunting us throughout the season. And so, all we can do is continue working and continue loving these guys and let them understand and watch film and teach and teach and teach. I don't know no other way.
Coach Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. How are you, sir?
How are you?
Good. Talk about the mindset of your team during the course of the week, in particular to this bye week, and as you go through the process of preparing for this game. Talk about the mindset. Understanding that it's been a difficult season, but do you experience any challenges trying to get your team motivated for the next game, week in and week out? Talk about that for a moment.
Well, it's always a challenge, when you're not successful. You're always, your mind thinks about 1,001 things as to what's going on, as to reasons why, or finger pointing and this and that, But, we've been able to keep our guys together from a mental standpoint of view. They're young, which is great, so they come out each week for a new experience. And so we've been able to harness that and keep us together. And we got some great leaders on the team, that hang out there and stay out there and don't give up and don't quit. And so you need those kind of guys, like, Khalil Young and guys like that we have, the few seniors that we do have, they're out there every day and they're setting the example. They don't have to do a lot of talking, but all they got to do is set the example for the younger guys, and the younger guys will follow. And so, so the coaches just got to stick with it and keep teaching and keep being critical, but yet and still not overcritical, but being critical to the point to where we're not going to beat them down because of the fact that they made some errors or made some mistakes, but we're definitely going to correct them, and we're going to correct them firmly. And so, I think, our mental aspect is they want to be coached and they want to win, and that desire to win keeps us going. It keeps us alive. Getting that first win keeps us going. It's almost like, something that you're shooting for, but you haven't gotten yet. But every time out, there's a possibility, and that's the way they think.
Thank you, Coach.
Do you have any more questions for Rick Comegy? Coach, I think we got him all. I appreciate your time this morning.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
That's Rick Comegy, head football coach at Mississippi Valley State. And after the bye week, his team is set to play Arkansas Pine Bluff for a 2:30 p.m. kickoff.
Conference recording started.
Set to preview A&M now and talk things over with Willie Simmons after defeating Jackson State last Saturday. They are set to host Alcorn State for a 1 p.m. kick. That will, by the way, appear on ESPN3. Let's welcome along Willie Simmons. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about your game this past weekend with Jackson State and preview the matchup with Alcorn State.
Yeah, well, last week was a really good football game. Two good teams, competing for 4 quarters and a lot of punches traded back and forth. Fortunately for us, we were able to get an early lead and come out of halftime and create a huge turnover on the kickoff, caused a fumble and recovered it, and were able to punch it in 2 plays later to get us up 21-0. And the guys were able to sustain. I thought the defense did a phenomenal job of making them one-dimensional. I think we held them to -3 yards rushing on the day, which was a huge testament to our defensive coordinator, Coach Street, and his staff for the game plan they put together, and our young men for executing that game plan. We made some plays in the kicking game. That's always huge for us, and Offensively, we were able to run the ball when we needed to try to control the clock. I thought the first half we struggled some running the ball, and in the second half we came out and ran it a lot better. So overall, it was a good team win, good team effort from everyone involved. And on the road, again, it's always tough to win on the road in this league. So again, I'm proud of the guys for going into another hostile environment on Jackson State's homecoming with a great crowd and being able to come out with a tough win. So continuing to play well enough to win, not doing everything perfect, but again, finding ways to win, and that's the mark of a good football team. And hopefully we can continue that. We have a very good Alcorn State team coming in here this week, and like you said, a TV game that we're all excited about and looking forward to.
All right, the floor is now open for Willie Simmons, head coach at Prairie View A&M.
Coach Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, sir. Talk about the style of play or the victories. I look at what the teams such as Prairie View, Grambling, and Southern have done so far against team in the SWAC East, in which there appears to be somewhat a certain sense of dominance, if you will. And talk about, are you aware of this, and does this in any way serve as some sort of a factor or indicator as to what one could expect depending on who those two teams are in the SWAC championship game, or do you just kind of take it game by game or what? Is that anything that you've noticed?
Well, I think in any league, whenever you have two divisions, it goes in cycles. Again, when I first got to the league in 2012, the East was the more dominant side. Alcorn, we began to win a bunch of games at Alcorn. Alabama State was a perennial contender, as well as Jackson State. And on the West, Grambling was still down. Pine Bluff had won in 11, but then they struggled in 11 and 12 and 13. Texas Southern was going through some changes. And Southern was really the only team that was winning consistently on that side. And now 3 years later, it's kind of flipped. Now we're playing pretty well. Grambling's playing extremely well, and Southern's playing extremely well. And on the East, some of those teams are adjusting to coaching changes and things of that nature. So, but I don't think that's any indication of what type of team we're facing this week. I mean, Alcorn is a two-time defending champion for a reason. They're a very good football team. They've lost 2 games to the 2 teams that are probably playing the best in the conference right now, which are Grambling and Southern. And then they lost a tough game early in the season against Pine Bluff, where they were up big and with a lot of injuries. And Pine Bluff made a few plays and came back and won the game in overtime. So they're a dangerous football team. Have really good players. They have really good coaches. I worked with a lot of those guys during my time at Alcorn State. So I have the utmost respect for Alcorn State and the team they're going to bring in this week. So I can't look at what anybody else has done as far as East versus West. We're taking it one game at a time, and we have to focus on what we need to do this week to play our best game and give ourselves the best chance to be successful.
Thank you, Coach.
So talking things over with Willie Simmons, head coach at Prairie View A&M.
Coach James Harper's named Defensive Player of the Week. What is he doing well in recent weeks that has allowed him to elevate his level of play?
Well, James has always been a guy that can be really dominating inside. He's very strong, very quick, and explosive at the point of attack. So, he causes problems for defenses because he's a very savvy football player. And he's last week I think had a bunch of tackles for loss, had some sacks, or got to the quarterback, got to the ball carrier in the backfield. And so he really did a good job of solidifying our defense from the inside out. Of course, we challenged the defensive line last week to be able to, 1, stop the run, and 2, get pressure with 4 when we're rushing 4. And I thought they responded to that challenge. James was a big part of that. I told them whenever the team drops back to pass, if they're blocking with 5, we have 4, then that means 3 guys are getting one-on-ones. And so we have to win our fair share of one-on-ones. and I thought James did a great job with that. But he's a guy that's played consistently well all season, and I think he's been a little bit overshadowed by Devon Reed and some of the numbers that he's put up. But both of those guys have been very, very good on the interior, and it gives us a chance to have a solid defense. And if we can continue to play at a high level, it gives us a great chance to be successful on that side of the ball. So happy for him. He's well deserving of it, and if he can continue to play smart, play with his head, and do the things within the scheme that Coach Street calls, he's got a chance to be one of the better interior guys in this league.
So taking questions for Willie Simmons, head coach at Prairie View A&M. Coach, your thoughts on the strides that a guy like Lenoris Footman has made over the past couple of years?
Well, he's a big-time football player. Again, I have a personal relationship with Lenoris. I actually recruited him to Alcorn State. We grew up not very far from one another in North Florida, and so I've followed his career since he was a true freshman, a high school freshman, and won a state championship as a ninth grader. And he's a very, very tough, hard-nosed football player. Very strong arm. Can throw it a country mile. Can run. Very, very strong, hard to bring down, and has a natural leadership ability about him that just gravitates guys to him. And so it's no secret why they've been successful since he took over. And he sat behind John for a couple of years and learned from a first-team quarterback, a conference player of the year. And so he took a lot of the things that he learned from John and then incorporated them into the pedigree that he already had, and it's made him a very, very good football player. So he's a dangerous player. You have to know where he is on the field at all times because he can beat you with his arm as well as his legs. And they've done a good job of giving him a game plan to execute. So we have our hands full this week. He carved us up last year. I think ran for over 200 yards against us last year. So we definitely got to know where he is and what he likes doing. But our defensive staff and our defense has their hands full this week with arguably one of the top dual threat quarterbacks in all of FCS football.
Do we have any more questions for Willie Simmons?
Coach, if you would, talk about the challenge of trying to stay in the hunt for a SWAC championship with the hope of a possible playoff berth, should that not happen?
Well, we told our team that we're in a playoff mindset right now. Grambling's still undefeated, Southern's still undefeated, so we have to assume that with those two teams playing as well as they are, another loss knocks us out of contention for the championship game. So we're taking that mindset that we have to be prepared to win every single game we play, and we take it one game at a time. So this week is Alcorn State. We understand we have a tough schedule ahead of us with three really good football teams, and we feel like with our schedule this year, with the teams that we played out of conference, as well as what we've done in the conference, that hopefully we'll turn enough heads that if in the event that we don't get a SWAC championship bid, if Grambling wins out, then we will possibly get in that large playoff bid, and that's something that our team is aspiring for, and we're keeping our fingers crossed with that. But we still are in the hunt. We're only one game back. There's a lot of football left to play. We're only one game back in the SWAC West, and so we're still keeping our fingers crossed with that. But we understand that we have to have a playoff mindset, that we can't afford to drop one if we want to continue to press forward towards our goal.
Any more questions for Willie Simmons? I think we got them all, Coach. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you next week.
Appreciate it. All righty.
Conference recording.
That's Willie
Stop.
Simmons, head coach at Prairie View A&M University, and again, after defeating Jackson State, they are set to host Alcorn State at 1 p.m. live on ESPN3.
Conference recording started.
To Louisiana now, and it's Dawson Odums, head coach at Southern University. And his team defeated Alcorn State, and now they're set to host Texas Southern at 4 p.m. Saturday. Good morning, Coach Odums.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about your win over Alcorn State and now turning your attention to Texas Southern.
Tell you, it was a great day for football. You know, it's end of October, and I tell you, it felt like it was about 100 degrees out there. But a very electric environment. Our fans do a great job of following, so it was a packed crowd, and I think our guys were up for the challenge. It's been a while since we've been able to beat Alcorn. Coach McNair had them. I mean, they were fired up. So it was a typical SWAC, tough football game, a tough challenge, but I really thought, it was back and forth in the first half. Guys were making plays. Footman, he's something else. And, we was able to make enough plays to be able to win a football game. But, Lenard Tillery, Austin Howard, Willie Quinn, they give us a chance to have some success. I mean, those guys made plays. And at the end of the day, we was able to run the ball when we needed to. And I really think that's what kept us on the field, kept the clock running, and was able to get out of there with a win. But they're a good football team. And we knew it was going to be a tough challenge, and it's a tough place to play. But, man, it was probably one of the better games that we've been in so far this year. And we were fortunate to come away with a W. We're going to take on Coach Haywood team. I mean, you look at them on film, they're in every ball game, and they play extremely hard. Very talented group of guys. They go challenge you. I mean, they do what they do, and that's really all you can do is do what you do and do it really well. And that's going to, present a challenge because they practice it more than you do. So guys got to be locked in. But we're going to play against a Texas Southern football team that's well coached. They're well prepared, and you can see that they're buying into his philosophy. They're playing extremely hard, and we're going to have to be ready to go.
All right, the floor is now open for Dawson Odums, head coach at Southern University.
Hey, Coach, good morning to you. Can you share your thoughts on Avarian Hurts, a quarterback for Texas Southern?
Well, I mean, he's a dual-threat guy. I mean, he can throw the ball, he can run the ball, keep plays alive with his legs. And I tell you, it seems like every week in this conference, coordinators, I know they got to be pulling their hair out because, I mean, these guys just make plays. You think you got them, all of a sudden they get loose and somebody's running down the field, they throw the ball. This zone read package that teams are running, I mean, it's a challenge. He's very good, and he's been getting better every week. So he'll definitely be a young man that we got to keep in the pocket, and we got to be able to corral. If not, he's capable of making big plays.
Coach, you mentioned that the Tigers have been in every game except for the one against Sam Houston State this past weekend where the score is kind of out of hand. But can you talk about how tenacious they are and what you know about Coach's team?
Well, they're well coached. They're sound. The thing is, I believe if you don't do a whole lot, you got a chance to be really great. And because you can, my philosophy is 10 things 100 times. When you look at them, they're very good at what they do. You can tell that they've been working the things that they're going to be good at, and they just keep getting better and better at it. And that's a sign of a good football team. They don't really beat themselves. They probably look at it as possession here or possession there, and they're probably, their record's probably flipped. So they're at least getting ball games into the fourth quarter and giving themselves a chance to win football games, and just come down to making plays. So you got to be well coached against them, and because they're going to be well coached, and they always put themselves in position to be able to win football games.
And Coach, can you also talk about the balance that your team appears to have with the running and passing, and also the fact that you don't normally beat yourself?
Well, I mean, I think that's really a true sign of good teams, because when you play against, another good opponent, beating yourself is usually the difference, and you have to maintain that discipline. And our guys, I mean, I don't we don't have a play count of how many times we throw the ball, how many times we run the ball. But at the end of the day, we're about 50-50. So, you know, we got weapons, and you know how it is on offense. If they don't get to touch the ball, there's some different guys on that side. But, you know, it's kind of hard to get Randall Menard the ball, Willie Quinn the ball, Dylan Beard the ball, and Leonard Tiller the ball. So, I mean, that's a good problem. But Coach Berry has done an outstanding job of finding ways to get those guys the ball in certain situations and areas of the field. And that balance is what helps us. If you load the box up, we can throw it. If you don't load the box up, we can run it. And that's what makes us so tough to defend. And our offensive line is one of the best in the conference.
And finally, Coach, for me, you mentioned last week that your team still hasn't played their best game yet. Are you close to that?
It depends on what film you watch. You know, in spurts Saturday, we played lights out. I mean, we was up with a chance to go up, I believe, 38 to maybe 13 or 17. Instead, we get the ball on the down there around the plus 35 and come away with no points. It's drives like that I think are preventing us from taking the next step, and we're gaining on it. We didn't turn the turnovers into points every time like we have been in the past. So those are the areas that I'd like to see us continue to grow in. And if we can do that, I mean, really got a pretty good football team. And we're not there yet, but we're gaining on it. And the attention to detail is growing every week. A very, very focused group of guys. And, you know, they understand it's November. And in the SWAC, you either in it or out of it in November. So, you know, you got to decide which way you want to go.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Dawson, it's Luke. How are you?
My man Luke, how you doing?
I'm doing well. The last 3 weeks, you look at them, Jackson State was obviously a big rivalry game for y'all. Y'all were coming off the bye, and you know, there were questions about that. And then there's homecoming, and you were worried about you guys keeping focused throughout that. And then last week was Alcorn. You hadn't beat them in 5 years. How do you think your guys handled kind of all the stuff coming in from the outside, and how important has the focus been for your team this year?
Well, I think every week is growing, you know, and we've had different scenarios to challenge our focus. Like you mentioned, being off 3 weeks going to Jackson, that definitely challenged your focus. You know, then you come out to that win, then you come home for homecoming. That is a big distraction. And then, you know, you go to a hostile environment, play against a team you haven't beaten. And the good thing is our guys lock in, and they just clock in every day. And we chase that one goal, 1-0, and try to focus them in on Monday and try to be the best we can be today. And that's what's big about these individuals in this program. And I think it's been great focus, but it can be a lot better, though. And for those 3 games, I like the focus that we had. Now, what kind of focus are we going to have in November? It must rise. And if we can get that focus up to a higher level, I like the direction that they're going.
I've heard this now from you and a couple of your guys, but you know, it sounds like November. You guys kind of break your season up into segments by month. So what do you want to see from your team in November that you haven't seen in September and October?
Well, college football, you know, start to finish. You know, start to finish college football. I want to see finished drives. I want to see continue to improve on third down defense, flawless special teams, just no substitution infractions, just everybody being locked in. You know, and that's the challenge. They're young men. Who knows what goes on during their head during the course of a game, but try to keep it on the task that's in front of you, and that's the goal, and that's the challenge. And if we do that, I really like this team going down the stretch.
I know cramping was an issue for you guys on Saturday with being a little hotter than you expected. Were you able to get out without any other injuries besides just the kind of cramping that was going on?
Yeah, pretty healthy football team, and you're right, because, you know, we practice in the mornings. it's what 62, 68 degrees this morning, and then we played at 2 o'clock, and man, you're right, we cramped. That 90 plus temperature up there got the best of them, but they fall through it, and it's not that hot when we practice, and that's the thing about in October and November. You think it's supposed to be cooling off, but that seems that don't happen down this way a lot. So we got to continue to stay hydrated and fight through it because we're gonna have some afternoon games.
Thanks, Dawson.
Thank you, Luke.
Coach Odums.
Yes.
Coach Odums, can you talk about what you said to the team following the game after getting over the hump against Alcorn, and what did you share with Leonard Tillery after the game that he had, becoming the SWAC's all-time leading rusher?
Well, I told the team that I was proud of the way they fought in a football game, and just continue to play the next play, continue to follow the process that we have in front of them. And, for these seniors, they can leave here saying they've beaten Alcorn, and that's something we haven't done. And that's an accomplishment. They're a good football team, and we were able to go on the road and accomplish that. And I was proud of them for the fact that how they play the game. And that's what's important. And they did a great job of that. Tillery just told him, "Hey man, you deserve it." And you know how Tillery is. He's a grateful individual, and he's thankful for his O-line and everybody else because he understands that all he do is run through the holes that they open. And I just told him he's a deserving guy of the award, and I was proud of him and the way he handled himself while he was chasing the award.
Coach, last question. Just with everything that went on in Baton Rouge this summer, talk about how big of a weekend this is for the city, having two huge games in the same area on the same day with College game day coming to Baton Rouge. Southern taking on Texas Southern and LSU hosting Alabama.
Well, I think anytime you can get, from an economy standpoint, from a relationship standpoint, anytime you can get that many people coming to your city, is deserving. And there's no greater college atmosphere than right here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I think you have two very proud programs that have tremendous fan base that really love their programs. And I think that's going to be, telecast for everybody to see throughout the news stations and everywhere else, because College game day only visiting when it's a big game, and Alabama's coming to town, Texas Southern's coming to town. Baton Rouge ought to be happy about the way both teams are playing, and for the city, it's financial growth. So we always welcome that opportunity right here in Baton Rouge.
And Coach, can you talk about from your standpoint, watching Leonard over these years, the evolution from him being a walk-on, him being down on the depth chart, to now becoming the SWAC's all-time leading rusher?
Hard work pays off, and if you had to look it up in the definition, what is hard work, just put his picture by it. That's what he's all about, working hard. When we run sprints, he's up at the front. When we having meetings, he's attentive, he's asking questions. That's why he's a team captain. He's earned that. Nothing has been given to him. He didn't come from he didn't transfer in from a big school. He came here as a walk-on and got better every day because he came to work every day. He didn't look at he didn't look at it as a job. He looked at it as an opportunity. And he loved the opportunity and he embraced it. When he was on scout team his first year, he ran as if he was the starter. And once he got his opportunity, he didn't look back. But that's what this program offers you. And we have several other walk-ons that are the same way. It's about opportunity, and that's what I try to explain to our coaches. It's our job to give them opportunities, and it's their job to make the best of it. And he made the best of his opportunity, and 5 years later, he's all-time leading rusher in the SWAC. Guess you'd be rich if you bet that on Las Vegas.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Do you have any more questions for Dawson Odums? Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you guys. Go Jacks.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
Southern University head coach Dawson Odums and his team will host Texas Southern at 4 p.m. this Saturday.
Conference recording started.
Our final coach this morning is Michael Haywood from Texas Southern University. His team fell to Sam Houston State, and now they'll turn their attention to Southern University this coming Saturday for a 4 p.m. kickoff. Good morning, Coach Haywood.
Good morning.
Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us. Let's recap your game against Sam State and talk a little bit about Southern this coming weekend.
Well, we went down to Huntsville, Texas to play Sam Houston State University. What a great football team they have. Ranked number 1 in the country in 1AA football. And, the game got out of hand before it even kicked off. They did a great job of matching up on a freshman, Brian Rowland, that we had out at corner. And it was a long day for our corner that day. They scored 3 touchdowns early. And, the good thing about it is that our kids really fought to stay in the game, kept fighting to stay in the game. However, we were just outmatched personnel-wise, and they did a very good job. At the same time, we're looking forward to going to Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is my second home. I had an opportunity to spend 8 years there. Coach Odums has done a tremendous job with his football team, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to play Southern University.
All right, the floor is now open for Michael Haywood, head coach at Texas Southern.
Coach Andrew Roberts, TSU Sports. Coach, can you just talk a little bit about playing Sam Houston State and how that game, playing up in competition against a good program, how that game could benefit your team as they go to Baton Rouge to play Southern this weekend?
I think it was a good opportunity for us to go and see what we match up across the board. Gave guys a different experience of the speed of the game and, how you're going to have to play in the future. But it also shows you what you're going to match up against speed-wise in going to Southern University. I mean, you have Leonard Tillery, who is now the SWAC all-time leading rusher, who surpasses Walter Payton. You can't see a better tailback. I mean, he's a better tailback than what we've seen all year. Then you have the kick returner, punt returner, Willie Quinn. Unbelievable quickness, tremendous speed. So it was an example of what we're going to see speed-wise going into this game. And then you have Austin Howard over at quarterback, who is an experienced football player. Make sure he delivers the ball to the appropriate people, manages the game as the game should be managed, and they're a well-coached football team. And so I just think it has prepared us for the last 3 games that we have down the stretch.
Coach, one more question. Brad Woodard, 122 yards in the ground game against Sam Houston State. If you can just talk a little bit about him and your running game in general.
I think Brad did a nice job in the running game. He ended up starting this game, didn't start the previous game, and I think that he did a good job. And I told Brad about 2 weeks ago, pound for pound, you are the most physical football player that we have on this team. And he runs the ball extremely physical, able to break tackles. And then the offensive line did a nice job for him blocking on that one play that he scored a touchdown on. But Brad is getting better. He's working hard, and he's doing a nice job of pass protection as well.
Hey, Coach, this is Luke Johnson with the Baton Rouge Advocate. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Have you talked at all to the Hurts family? I'm assuming this is a pretty big weekend for them with both Averion and Jalen coming in to play big games in Baton Rouge.
I don't get involved in any of that. I mean, the only thing I concentrate on is Texas Southern University football. Lil Hurts is an outstanding young man. Came up here during the summer, throwing some balls. Great athlete. Wish him the best of luck playing for an outstanding football coach. But, yeah, it's going to be a war zone for him in Tiger Stadium.
When you look at Southern, what's kind of the biggest concern about that team? I know their offense, obviously gets a lot of the credit for what they've done so far, but their defense has been forcing a lot of turnovers and kind of playing a big part in that as well. So kind of what's your biggest concern looking at that?
Well, the first concern is making sure that we stop Tiller. We have to make sure that we stop it. We can't do anything else. We can't do anything else first before we stop the run game. Once we stop the run game, then we're going to force them to get forced to throw the ball around. You know, Willie Quinn, great football player. You know, if you kick it to him, you sure better cover. You know, we have one of the best kickoff cover teams in the country, but you sure better cover if you kick it to him. And then they have a plethora of wide receivers. And then you got Bernard at tight end, who I've been knowing his family since 1995, and he's turned into an outstanding tight end for him. So you have a great skilled team on offense. But the people that get overlooked are their offensive linemen. And their offensive line really does a good job for them. Defensively, they're going to line up, and what they line up in, they rally to the football. They strip the football, do a good job of stripping the football. But you're not going to get any surprises. When you hit them with something, you're going to come back and get a blitz within the next play or two. The next time you line up in that formation, you're going to get a blitz. And you just have to block the people and where they are and be more physical than they are, because there's no surprise. And they do a good job of coaching, making sure that our guys understand where they're supposed to fit, and they do a nice job of in that takeaway game.
And how is your team health-wise going into this weekend?
Oh, we beat up. But, you know, we had about 4 or 5 guys going to the doctor today, orthopedic surgeons, and, you know, we're a beat-up football team. But that, if they're able to play or not able to play, it's the next man up. It's the next man's opportunity. And if you get up and do your job, and the only thing that you have to do is do your job, then we shouldn't have a problem. We should go in there and be able to compete with whoever lines up to play.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? It's Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting. I have just one question for you. Could you please speak on Eric Medina and the force that he is in your kicking game, as well as punting and kickoffs for the team?
I think, first of all, let me say this. I think Medina is 10 for 10 on field goal. And what a tremendous job that he's done with the longer 51. I also think that it's important that you give credit to the 9 guys up front, making everything go around and protecting them to make sure that he has an opportunity to be successful. At the same time, in the punt game, I think he's done a tremendous job in our rugby punt. You know, we got one block the other day, but it wasn't his fault. We had a one-on-one block, and undersized guy beat a defensive tackle, and was just more physical than he was at the point of attack and blocked the kick by throwing up an arm. But I think he's doing a tremendous job, and then also on our kickoffs. He's doing a great job. More importantly, the best thing about the kickoffs is the hang time. And it provides us an opportunity to get downfield and cover. And the other 10 guys are doing a tremendous job of covering the kickoff.